Well, all week here on American Morning, we're focusing on the challenges of veterans returning from Iraq and Afghanistan. It's our war at home. Going from the front lines to the home front can be a difficult transition, and in a bad economy, it's even harder. Today, a town hall meeting is taking place in Philadelphia where the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Eric Shinseki, will address some of the health care issues critical to veterans, as well as education issues. And two people who will be there, Don Gomez, an Army sergeant who served in Iraq. He was deployed in 2003 and 2005, as well as Petty Officer in the Navy, Tammy Crum, also an Iraq War veteran. Thank you for joining us, both of you, this morning.
Thank you.
So let me start with you, Don. One of the big issues they're going to be addressing at the town hall meeting is education, is this enhanced GI Bill that's going to be helping more and more of these returning veterans pay for education, not only from state schools, but also private universities, as well as helping out with housing and with paying for books. How critical is getting that help to these veterans that are returning from these wars and trying to get employment?
Well, it's very critical. We're actually very proud that the new GI Bill is being implemented this month. IAVA led the way, led the fight in bringing that increased benefit to us. And what it does is it pays for the highest in-state tuition of the public university in your state. It pays for a living stipend in your area, and it pays up to $1,000 a year for books. And this is a big amount above what we were getting and what I was getting when I got out of the Army in 2006. And I think it'll go a long way in easing the transition from combat into the civilian world.
And Tammy, one of the things you mentioned is that the current bill, right, it covers you for 36 months. So you're saying if it would be for 48, and you could, complete a 4-year degree in a time frame that's not as difficult. You say that right now some people are trying to cram in a bunch of credits.
Exactly. Under the current program, a lot of 4-year universities, to complete a bachelor's is more than 120 credits. And to be able to complete a bachelor's degree in 3 years while transitioning to civilian life, it's quite challenging. And a lot of people I know are taking on anywhere between 18 to 24 credits per semester, trying to finish in the time that's allotted for that 36-month window to not incur students upon graduation.
Right, and I know that can be pretty costly and expensive. Another interesting thing is for people who served in wars and paid the ultimate price, I understand that some of these benefits can go on to the children as well and help them pay for their schooling, so that's another great thing. Another big issue is health care. President Obama said last week that the VA is working hard to make sure that every veteran, not just active forces, but also people in the National Guard as well as reservists, are aware of the benefits that are available to them. We're guiding them through the process. How would you classify the coverage right now and the way that veterans' health care is handled, Don?
Well, that's one of the big questions or big issues I'd like to see General Shinseki talk a little bit about today. We know that there's a lot of claims issues with the backlog that's currently in the VA, and I'd like to hear General Shinseki talk a little bit about how the VA is transforming itself with updating to electronic health records and how it's going to make itself more available for veterans that are coming home from Iraq and Afghanistan with the signature injuries, which are post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury.
They talk about adding an additional $25 billion over the next 5 years, Tammy, to deal with that very thing, the post-traumatic stress disorder. Even if you're not suffering from that particular ailment as a result of your fighting over there in the war, are there other health concerns that maybe are unique to veterans that people need to be paying more attention to?
I can't think of any that have personally impacted me. I know that people get out of the military. A lot of people have back problems, injury with ligaments, and stuff like that. And then once you go to claim something with the VA, if amount of time has passed since you've got out of the military, it's harder to establish service-connected disability as a result of the time of service. amount of time that's lapsed since you've got out of the military.
Right, so you're talking about trying to clear up some of that red tape that perhaps gets in the way of getting the health care that you need. And Don, also, we have more than 1 million veterans of foreign wars since 2001. I mean, just a huge number. And as we saw from our Barbara Stars reporting, many homeless veterans, and this problem growing, 3,700, you said, living on the streets. What is the solution there? How do you help people who, in many cases, are suffering from some mental problems and perhaps post-traumatic stress? But how do you deal with this homeless problem?
Well, I think we've already started dealing with it by getting this post-9/11 GI Bill passed. That's going to be the first stop for veterans in transitioning out of the military. They have a way to go to school that's not going to be too expensive. They can now afford to go to school. So that's one thing. The other thing is enhancing those mental health services for veterans who are suffering from PTSD and TBI. The third thing, and this is one where I think we need to improve on, is finding a way to get veterans in jobs quickly when they come out of the service. We're in this new economy that's not doing too well. It's very hard to find a job, especially if your skill set is an infantryman or a paratrooper. There's just not jobs for those people coming out of the military.
Right. And Tammy, Don mentioned a couple of things that he would like to ask if he had a chance to today. What if you get a question to General Shinseki? What would you like to ask him today at this town hall?
When do they plan on implementing a better transition program for those coming out of the military? I know that the process for applying for VA health care since I got out of the military has changed, and we were never notified of the way that it changed. It wasn't until I went online digging for the information as to how our benefits are different from other campaigns that I was able to find out how or what was available through the VA for health care. But there's no definitive process of this is how you seek it.
All right, you need better access to information and figuring out how to go about doing it quickly. I understand, and hopefully you'll get a chance to ask your questions today. A lot of good issues that both of you brought up, Don Gomez as well as Tammy Crum, both Iraq War veterans. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.